Creating content is the easy part. The fear of being seen is what's keeping you from showing up and creating that content. As someone that's an introvert, here's the three things that I really had to work through in order to show up, create the content, and build a business using social media. So, first and foremost, I really had to dive into my identity. There were so many things that I had been believing about myself that just simply weren't true. I had a lot of concern around not being enough, smart enough, good enough, pretty enough, capable enough, whatever enough, all the things that we like to lie to ourselves about. I had a lot of that. And so what I needed to do was replace those lies with truth. And I took that truth and I declared it over myself every day. I'd wake up in the morning and I would declare truth over myself. And then when I got on to create videos, I would declare that truth over myself then too, because it helped me to build confidence in feeling like, one, I am not who I have been believing that I am. And two, I can really do this. And so even if it was just for that short time while I was creating the video, I had enough confidence to create and post. And then I would continue that cycle. And so it wasn't an overnight thing. It took a lot of work. And there were days where it didn't feel like I could create content that day. It didn't feel like I was good enough still, but I pushed myself to try even though I didn't fully believe it. And over time, what ended up happening was I was able to collect data that changed my mind and rewired those neural pathways. So I might have had the fear that I wasn't smart enough to educate people and help them with their marketing. And then I would post a video anyway, and I would get a comment saying, "Wow, this was so helpful. You have changed the way I do this in my business." And that was evidence for me that I really was smart enough and that there were people that needed my help. The reality about identity is you're never going to take action outside of who you believe that you are. And so if you're afraid of being seen online, you probably want to dive into your identity as well and determine what you're believing that is making you have that fear. And so dive into what you're believing, find those lies, and then declare truth over yourself and practice taking new action every day with confidence. You might not feel confident at first, but over time, you will start to feel more confident and you'll collect data that rewires your neural pathways in your brain, and you'll become who you have been declaring over your life. The second thing that I really had to work through in order to overcome this fear was my mindset around why I was creating. Originally, I was creating with a mindset of what is this video going to do for me, or what am I going to do in this video, which sounds very intuitive, but in reality, the best way to create content is for the people you are creating for. And so if you change your mindset from all about you to all about them and have a people first mindset, creating becomes so much easier because instead of it having to be perfect, you just want to put something out and actually help someone. We are people that love to help other people. We're wired for community. And so when you create with the mindset of I have skills and talents and gifts and I can be funny or fun or educational for somebody else, creating that content feels way more doable and a lot easier. And if you are someone that's still sitting there thinking, no, that scares me, that makes me feel like I have to be perfect more, something I want you to understand is that when people watch content, all they're looking for is help. They don't need it to be perfect as long as they get something that they can take away from it. So don't worry about being perfect, worry about serving other people and actually providing value, because then your content reaches one, far more people, but two, doesn't feel like it has to be perfect and polished. It just feels like it needs to do its job of serving other people. And then the third thing that I really had to overcome as someone that was afraid of being seen online was the metrics and the comparison aspect of showing up online. Once I started actually posting my videos, I would look at my metrics and think, wow, this was not good enough. I have failed. Look at how much better this person is doing. And that's pretty common online. But in reality, a couple things are true. One, you can't really tell how well your video is performing just based on the metrics you're getting in terms of views and likes. And most people do not care how well your video is doing as long as it's added value to their life. And so when you are creating, if you are afraid of being seen, don't worry so much about how many people are watching it, who's liking it. First, get over the fear of showing up and creating. Second, make sure you're creating for the right people. But then third, make sure you're measuring the right metrics and not comparing to anyone else, because your content isn't the same as anyone else's, because you're not the same as anyone else. Comparison should never be a thing because you have nothing to compare to. Everyone has a different point of view, a different passion, and a different way of showing up online. And so just because your video didn't perform as well as some other girls or someone else in your field or your industry, if you're a business owner, it doesn't matter. What really matters is that you showed up and that you have put out something that you know will help someone else. The last piece of advice I would give to anyone struggling with feeling afraid to show up and being seen online is that the best way to get over that fear is just to start. It's not going to be perfect and it doesn't have to be. You can delete later, but start, hit post, and see what happens. If you're unhappy with the results later, delete it. It doesn't have to stay on your feed forever, but trying is the first step to getting over that fear. Showing up even when it feels a little bit uncomfortable will help you to do it over and over and over and over again. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about content and marketing, I hope you will stick around and hit subscribe. And I also hope you'll check out my Stan store. I have a bunch of courses and tools that will help you with your content and your marketing that will get you results faster without feeling overwhelmed. I'll put the link below in the description. And that's all I've got for today. I'll see you next time.